The Middle East, a land where history whispers through ancient ruins and tradition flows through every bustling market street. This region is not just a destination, it is a living storybook where empires once rose and fell, prophets walked, and civilizations flourished. Stretching from the golden deserts of the Arabian Peninsula to the fertile valleys of the Levant, the Middle East holds some of the most breathtaking and diverse landscapes on Earth. From sun-scorched dunes to snow-dusted mountains, from timeless coastlines to modern skylines that pierce the clouds, but this region is more than landscapes. It is a mosaic of cultures, languages, and beliefs. Each city, each village, each ancient stone holds memories of a time long before ours. The aroma of spices in the air, the sound of the call to prayer echoing across rooftops, the intricate art on every mosaic and minaret, all speak to a deep and complex identity. It is here where stories of humanity began, the birthplace of major religions. The cradle of writing, trade, and architecture. And still today, it pulses with energy, a fusion of old and new, tradition and innovation. Carved deep into the rose-red cliffs of southern Jordan, Petra stands as a marvel of human ingenuity and ancient ambition. Hidden for centuries behind rugged mountains and winding canyons, this city was once a thriving center of trade, culture, and spiritual life. Long before the modern world arrived, the Nabatean people shaped this city by hand, chiseling temples, tombs, and facades directly into the sandstone. Their knowledge of engineering and water management turned a harsh desert into a flourishing capital. The journey into Petra begins through a narrow passage known as the Souq, a natural canyon that stretches for nearly a mile. As the towering walls close in, sunlight dances across their layered stone, revealing colors of pink, gold, and orange. And then, at the end of the Souq, it appears. The treasury, majestic, mysterious, rising tall with perfect symmetry, its columns and carvings seem untouched by time. Though its true purpose remains debated, its presence is unforgettable, and it is just the beginning. Beyond the treasury, Petra unfolds into a vast archaeological wonder. Ancient theaters, royal tombs, colonnaded streets, all speak of a city that once welcomed travelers from across the ancient world. In the vast deserts of northwestern Arabia lies a landscape both haunting and majestic. Al-Ula, a place where sandstone cliffs, ancient tombs, and silent valleys tell stories older than written history. This land has been inhabited for thousands of years. Its position made it a crossroads, where traders, pilgrims, and empires passed through, leaving behind a rich blend of art, language, and architecture. The heart of Al-Ula is its dramatic scenery. Towering rock formations shaped by wind and time rise like sculptures across the desert. Wide canyons stretch between the cliffs, while palm-filled oases offer shade, water, and life in a world ruled by stone and sun. But beyond its natural beauty, Al-Ula holds something rare. Hidden among the rocks are tombs and temples from an ancient civilization known as the Nabateans, the same people who built Petra. Here, at a site called Hegra, their legacy endures. Dozens of monumental tombs are carved into the cliffs, their facades adorned with delicate symbols and weathered inscriptions. Unlike Petra, Hegra feels quieter, more mysterious, as if time itself paused here, allowing us a glimpse into a forgotten world. Endless horizons, towering sandstone cliffs, silence so deep it feels sacred. This is Wadi Rum, a desert like no other. Located in the southern reaches of Jordan, Wadi Rum is often called the Valley of the Moon. But it is more than a nickname. Here, the earth and sky blend in colors and shapes that seem otherworldly. Crimson sands stretch to the horizon, broken only by massive rock formations that rise like giants from the desert floor. This place has been home to nomadic Bedouin tribes for centuries. Their presence is part of the land, carved into the caves, painted on the stone walls, and told through stories passed from one generation to the next. They know every ridge, every shadow, every breeze that moves across the sand. Wadi Rum is a landscape of extremes. Days burn under the desert sun. Nights fall into deep stillness beneath stars so bright they seem within reach. Wind and time have sculpted the rocks into arches, domes, and towers, forming natural monuments that look both ancient and eternal. Among these formations are echoes of human history. Petroglyphs carved into stone record images of hunters, animals, and early life. Hidden in the lush hills of Lebanon lies a wonder crafted not by kings or empires, but by water, time, and nature itself. Jeita Grotto, a cathedral of stone beneath the earth. In the upper grotto, chambers open up into soaring vaults. Stalactites and stalagmites rise and fall like frozen waterfalls, sculpted drop by drop over thousands of years. Columns stretch toward the ceiling like pillars in an ancient temple, their shapes smooth, twisted, and otherworldly. This vast cave system stretches for miles through the limestone mountains, divided into two distinct levels, upper and lower, each revealing a different side of the grotto's silent beauty. Below, in the lower grotto, the experience becomes even more surreal. A river flows silently through the cavern, carrying cool mountain water through the stone. Visitors drift gently through the darkness in small boats, guided only by the quiet sound of water and the occasional echo of droplets hitting the surface. It feels like entering the heart of the earth, a place where silence is deep, where the outside world disappears and only beauty remains. Soft lighting reveals the delicate forms, some tall and narrow, others thick and jagged, each one the result of patience only nature possesses. Every curve, every edge is a mark of passing centuries, untouched by human hands. In the heart of central Turkey lies a landscape that feels lifted from a dream, a land of soft stone and swirling skies. This is Cappadocia, a place where history, nature, and legend come together in one of the most surreal scenes on Earth. The terrain is unlike anywhere else. Cone-shaped rock formations, known as fairy chimneys, rise from the ground like ancient towers. Sculpted by volcanic ash and shaped by centuries of wind and rain, these natural pillars create a skyline both strange and beautiful. But Cappadocia is not just a landscape, it is a world carved into the earth. For thousands of years, people have made homes, churches, and entire cities inside these soft rock formations. The walls still hold traces of early Christian frescoes, silent prayers, and stories of refuge from conflict and time. Underground, vast cities stretch through layers of stone, tunnels, staircases, and chambers, all hidden beneath the surface. These underground sanctuaries were once places of shelter and survival, protecting entire communities in times of danger. Above ground, the valleys glow with color. Rising above the desert like a shard of glass, reaching toward the sky, the Burj Khalifa is more than just a building. It is a symbol of ambition, innovation, and the bold spirit of a modern city. Located in the heart of Dubai, the Burj Khalifa stands as the tallest structure ever built by human hands. Its height defies imagination. Its form reflects the desert flower, slender, layered, and symmetrical, narrowing as it climbs into the clouds. Constructed from concrete, steel, and vision, the tower was designed not only to reach higher than ever before, but to stand as a beacon of what is possible. It took years of planning, engineering, and labor to bring it into existence, and every detail reflects precision and purpose. The view from below is humbling. The structure seems to rise endlessly, its glass panels catching the light of the sun by day and the glow of the city by night. As one ascends, the city spreads below like a map. Roads, towers, and coastlines shrink beneath the height. From the top, the world feels distant, quiet. But the Burj Khalifa is not just a marvel of height, it is a place where luxury and function meet. Within ancient stone walls, across narrow alleys worn smooth by centuries of footsteps, the old city of Jerusalem stands as one of the most sacred and storied places on earth. Here, history is not hidden in ruins. It lives in every stone, every shadow, every sound that echoes through the streets. This city has been a center of faith, conflict, and pilgrimage for thousands of years. It is sacred to Jews, Christians, and Muslims alike, each tradition rooted deeply in its soil. The old city is divided into 4 quarters: Jewish, Christian, Muslim, and Armenian. Each has its own rhythm, its own history, its own voice. Together they form a mosaic of belief and heritage, unlike any other. In the Jewish quarter, the western wall stands in solemn silence. A remnant of the Second Temple, it draws people from around the world who come to pray, to remember, and to hope. Slips of paper filled with prayers rest between the ancient stones, carried there by hands and hearts. Nearby, the Christian quarter leads to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, one of the most important sites in Christianity. Inside, pilgrims walk the path believed to be the final steps of Jesus. In the heart of the Iranian plateau, where mountains meet the dry desert plain, the remains of a once mighty empire rise from the dust. Persepolis, the ceremonial capital of the ancient Persian Empire, a place where stone speaks of power, precision, and legacy. Built over 2,500 years ago by order of King Darius I, Persepolis was not just a city, it was a vision. A stage upon which the grandeur of an empire could be seen, and its unity celebrated. Here, representatives from across the ancient world brought offerings to the Persian king, a gesture not just of tribute, but of connection. Climbing the wide stone staircase to the main terrace, the scale becomes clear. Gigantic platforms, towering columns, and detailed reliefs come into view, all carved with purpose, all speaking of a civilization at the height of its strength and influence. The Gate of All Nations once welcomed visitors from across the empire. Winged bulls with human faces guard its entrance, their expressions calm yet powerful. They stand as eternal sentinels of a culture that valued both strength and order. Beyond the gate, the Apadana, the grand audience hall, once held rows of massive columns and royal ceremonies. In the quiet streets of Shiraz, a city known for poetry and gardens, there stands a mosque unlike any other. At first glance, it seems modest, elegant, but traditional. But step inside, and the ordinary vanishes. This is the Nasir al-Mulk Mosque, a place where light becomes art. Built in the late 19th century during the Qajar era, the mosque reflects the architecture of Persian tradition: grand arches, intricate tilework, and balanced design. But what makes this mosque truly unique is its relationship with the sun. Every morning, as light enters through rows of stained glass windows, the interior transforms. Beams of colored light spill across the floor, painting the walls, carpets, and columns in shifting patterns of blue, pink, red, and gold. It is not just light, It is a living mosaic. This symphony of color turns the space into something almost dreamlike. The carved pillars seem to glow. The air itself feels touched by art, and for a moment, time slows and silence fills with wonder. Known lovingly as the Pink Mosque, the Nasir al-Mulk is also famous for its delicate rose-toned tiles. Floral patterns and flowing calligraphy cover the walls, blending geometry with grace. Where the land sinks to its lowest point on earth, a body of water shimmers under the desert sun, still, silent, and heavy with salt. This is the Dead Sea, a place of extremes, a place of wonder. Bordered by Jordan to the east and the West Bank to the west, the Dead Sea is not truly a sea, but a vast salt lake. Its waters are nearly 10 times saltier than the oceans, making life impossible for fish or plants. Yet, in its lifelessness, there is something deeply alive. Here, people do not swim, they float, effortlessly. The water lifts the body, holds it above the surface, as if the earth itself has grown gentle for a moment. It is a sensation unlike any other, strange, weightless, and peaceful. For thousands of years, the Dead Sea has been a place of healing. Its mud, rich in minerals, has been used in rituals and medicine since ancient times. Kings, prophets, and travelers once came here seeking relief for the body and calm for the spirit. The landscape is stark and powerful. Salt crystals form along the shores, creating white, jagged patterns against the deep blue water. In the waters of the Arabian Sea, far from the mainland and untouched by time, there is a place that feels almost alien, a land of strange trees, rare creatures, and ancient silence. This is Socotra Island, a world apart. Part of Yemen, yet closer to the Horn of Africa, Socotra has been called the most otherworldly island on Earth. Isolated for millions of years, its landscapes have evolved in solitude. What has grown here exists nowhere else. The island is most famous for its trees. The dragon's blood tree, with its umbrella-like canopy and crimson sap, stands like a living sculpture across the hills. Nearby, the desert rose blooms from bare rock, thick trunks twisting like coral frozen in stone. Together, they paint a scene found in no other corner of the world. Socotra's biodiversity is extraordinary. Over 1/3 of its plant life is unique to the island. Birds sing in unfamiliar tones. Insects crawl across surfaces no human hand has shaped. Even the coastline feels untouched. Turquoise waters breaking against limestone cliffs. White sand beaches empty but for the wind. The people of Socotra live simply, closely tied to the rhythms of land and sea. At the tip of the Arabian Peninsula, where the mountains meet the sea in quiet majesty, lies a hidden world of water and stone. These are the Musandam Fjords, often called the Norway of Arabia, but truly unlike anywhere else. Located in the northernmost part of Oman, the Musandam Peninsula juts into the Strait of Hormuz, where ancient cliffs rise sharply from deep blue waters. Carved over time by nature's patient hand, these fjords curve through the land like long fingers of the sea, calm and still. The scene is simple but powerful. Rugged limestone mountains descend directly into the ocean. Their reflections ripple gently on the surface, broken only by the slow glide of a dhow, a traditional wooden boat that has sailed these waters for centuries. The silence here is profound. No sound but the breeze, the lapping of water, and the occasional call of seabirds echoing through the canyons. Dolphins sometimes appear, swimming beside the boats in small pods, as if drawn to the peace of the place. The villages along the shore are few and quiet, small clusters of white homes nestled at the base of the cliffs. Life moves slowly here, fishing, sailing, and watching the tides, a rhythm as old as the sea itself. High above the Jordan Valley, where the land begins to fold into the horizon, stands a quiet mountain with a view that has carried meaning for thousands of years. This is Mount Nebo, a place of vision, memory, and sacred silence. It is here, according to ancient tradition, that the prophet Moses stood and looked out upon the promised land, a land he would see but never enter. From this ridge, the landscape stretches far and wide. On a clear day, one can see the Dead Sea, the Jordan River, and even the distant hills near Jerusalem. The wind moves gently across the summit, carrying stories that have shaped faiths and nations. Pilgrims have come here for centuries, not for riches or relics, but for perspective, to stand where Moses stood, to see what he saw, and to feel the weight of history beneath their feet. A simple church, built over ancient foundations, marks the sacred ground. Inside, fragments of early Christian mosaics tell stories of faith through patterns of stone and color. Outside, a modern sculpture of the bronze serpent recalls the biblical tale, a symbol of healing and redemption. But Mount Nebo is more than a site of scripture. It is a place of reflection. In the fertile Bekaa Valley of Lebanon, where the mountains rise like stone guardians on either side, lie the towering remains of an ancient city, a place where gods were once honored with columns that scraped the sky. This is Baalbek. Long before borders were drawn and maps were made, Baalbek was a place of worship and wonder. Known in Roman times as Heliopolis, or City of the Sun, it became one of the grandest temple complexes in the ancient world. The scale is astonishing. Massive stones, some weighing more than 1,000 tons, were moved and set in place with a precision that still puzzles engineers today. The Temple of Jupiter, once crowned with dozens of towering columns, now stands as a powerful ruin, broken but never silenced. Nearby, the Temple of Bacchus remains remarkably preserved. Its carvings still sharp, its structure still standing. It tells stories of celebration, of beauty, of life entwined with the divine. Each pillar, each relief, is a page in a book of stone, written by hands long gone, yet never forgotten. Walking among these ruins, time feels different. The present fades, and one stands in the shadow of civilizations that believe deeply in the power of the gods, in the grandeur of architecture, and in the permanence of stone. Beneath the rolling hills of southeastern Turkey, hidden for thousands of years under layers of earth and time, lies a place that reshaped our understanding of human history. This is Göbekli Tepe, the world's oldest known temple complex. Long before the pyramids of Egypt, before the stones of Stonehenge, even before the invention of writing or the wheel, people gathered here. Over 11,000 years ago, in the early Neolithic age, human hands carved towering pillars from solid rock and arranged them in great circles. They had no cities, no metal tools, and yet they built monuments that still stand. The stones of Göbekli Tepe are massive, shaped like tall tes, some reaching over 16 feet in height. Many are carved with images: foxes, birds, snakes, scorpions, creatures that may have held deep meaning in a world still closely tied to nature. But the mystery is greater than the stones. Why did these early people build such a place? There are no signs of homes, no graves, no ordinary settlement. It was not for shelter. It was not for kings. It may have been a place of ritual, of gathering, of shared belief, built not from necessity, but from something deeper. In the vast emptiness of the Saudi Arabian desert, where golden sands stretch to the horizon and the silence feels eternal, a cliff rises like a monument carved by time itself. They call it the edge of the world, and when you stand there, the name becomes clear. Known locally as Jebel Akhdar, this dramatic escarpment lies at the end of an ancient plateau, part of the vast Hawaii mountain range. From its edge, the land seems to vanish into forever. There are no cities, no roads, no boundaries, just space, pure and endless. The cliff face drops sharply into the desert floor, hundreds of feet below. Wind moves slowly across the rocks, shadows shift across the canyons. The view is raw, powerful, and absolute. It is the kind of place where the earth feels wild and infinite, and the sky seems impossibly close. Fossils embedded in the limestone tell a quiet story of an ancient seabed, a reminder that even here in this dry and silent place, water once flowed and life once swam. Travelers who reach this place often speak in whispers, as if noise might break the spell. Rising from the heart of Jerusalem, crowned in gold and wrapped in blue, stands one of the most iconic and sacred monuments in the world, the Dome of the Rock. A place where beauty, history, and faith meet beneath a single radiant dome. Set upon the Haram al-Sharif, known to many as the Temple Mount, this site has drawn worshippers and wanderers for over 1,000 years. But its significance reaches far deeper than stone or skyline. Built in the late 7th century during the Umayyad Caliphate, the Dome of the Rock is not a mosque but a shrine. It was created to honor the rock at its center, believed by Muslims to be the place from which the Prophet Muhammad ascended into the heavens during his night journey. For Jews, this same rock is traditionally held as the foundation stone, where Abraham prepared to sacrifice his son, and where the Holy of Holies once stood in the ancient Jewish temple. For Christians, it lies within a city shaped by the life and footsteps of Jesus. Few places on earth carry such layered meaning. The architecture itself is a masterpiece. The golden dome glows against the sky, a beacon seen from across Jerusalem. On a lonely hilltop in western Syria, surrounded by olive groves and the hush of distant valleys, stands one of the most formidable fortresses ever built, Crac des Chevaliers. A castle of stone and shadow built for war, but echoing now with the silence of centuries. Its name means Fortress of the Knights, and it once served as the mighty stronghold of the Crusader armies. Built and expanded over the 12th and 13th centuries, it guarded the crossroads of empires, a gateway between the coast and the desert beyond. Seen from afar, it looks like something from legend. Thick walls, soaring towers, deep moats, and inner courtyards built for siege and survival. Every arch and staircase, every corridor and gate was crafted with purpose. Not for beauty, though there is beauty, but for strength. Inside, the past still lingers. Vast halls echo with stories of knights and pilgrims. Stone chapels stand quiet in the sun, where light spills through narrow windows and dances on ancient floors. From the towers, the view stretches across a landscape once fiercely contested, now still. In the eastern reaches of Oman, where the mountains open like stone gates and the desert meets the sea, there lies a hidden paradise, a narrow gorge of turquoise waters, swaying palms and whispering cliffs. This is Wadi Shab, a place where the land softens and life flows. From the first step into the wadi, the contrast is striking. The dry, golden rock gives way to lush greenery. A footpath winds along shallow pools and streams, guiding travelers deeper into a landscape that feels both ancient and alive. Tall canyon walls rise on either side, worn smooth by centuries of water and wind. Their silence is broken only by the trickle of flowing springs and the rustle of date palms, standing like quiet sentinels over the valley floor. The walk is gentle at first, then becomes an adventure. Crossings over stones, splashes through shallow water. Then finally, the reward, a series of clear emerald pools nestled deep within the canyon. Here, time slows, the heat lifts, and the world becomes still. Many follow the water all the way to a hidden cave where a narrow gap in the rock leads to a waterfall tucked inside the stone, a secret sanctuary that feels like nature's own cathedral. High above the deserts of Oman, where the air cools and the clouds drift low, rises a mountain unlike any other in the region. Its name means the Green Mountain, and in this dry land it lives up to the promise. This is Jebel Akhdar. Part of the vast Al-Hajar mountain range, Jebel Akhdar towers over the surrounding land. From its peaks, deep canyons cut through the rock. Terraced farms cling to the cliffs, and hidden villages lie tucked within folds of stone. It is a place of refuge, of resilience, and of quiet beauty. Despite the harsh terrain, life flourishes here. Thanks to its elevation and cooler climate, the mountain supports fruit trees, rose gardens, and flowing foliage irrigation channels. In spring, the scent of blooming damask roses fills the air, harvested by hand, as they have been for generations. Stone paths wind through ancient villages, where houses are built from the earth itself. The people of Jebel Akhdar live close to the land, their lives shaped by mountain rhythms, slow, deliberate, enduring. Above the barren stretch of the Judean desert, on a towering plateau that rises steep from the earth like a stone crown, stands Masada, a place where history clings to every rock and silence carries the weight of ancient defiance. Masada was once a fortress, built by Herod the Great over 2,000 years ago. With walls strong enough to defy nature and palaces carved into the cliffside, it was meant to be a refuge, a place of power, protection, and isolation. But it is not Herod's luxury that defines Masada. It is the story that followed. Decades after Herod's death, during the First Jewish-Roman War, a group of Jewish rebels known as the Scari fled to Masada. From the top of this lonely mountain, they resisted the Roman Empire's advance, holding the high ground for years, while the world below burned. The Romans came with thousands of soldiers and laid siege. Slowly, relentlessly, they built a massive ramp up the desert slope, a work of determination and engineering. The defenders, outnumbered and surrounded, chose death over surrender. When the walls were finally breached, the silence that greeted the Romans spoke louder than resistance. In the eastern reaches of the United Arab Emirates, far from the glass towers and quiet deserts, the land begins to rise, rugged, sharp, and ancient. These are the Hatta Mountains, part of the mighty Hajar Range, where stone and sky meet in quiet strength. Here, the landscape tells a different story, not one of cities, but of time itself. Craggy peaks stretch across the horizon. Dry riverbeds, called wadis, carve deep paths through the hills. Villages built from stone and mud still rest between the ridges, their pace unchanged by modern life. The air is cooler in these heights. The wind carries the scent of dry earth and mountain herbs. Birds soar across the canyons. Goats trace narrow paths that climb the slopes like living threads through the landscape. In the heart of this mountain land lies Hatta village, where restored heritage homes stand as reminders of tradition. Forts built from stone watch over the valley, quiet but unbroken. The water channels, or fallage, still flow, guiding water from springs to terraced farms below. On the shores of the eastern Mediterranean, where the waves meet the stone with a rhythm older than memory, lies one of the oldest continuously inhabited cities in the world. This is Byblos, a place where time has folded itself into every street, every wall, every breath of sea air. Known in ancient times as Gebla, and later as Gebel, this city has seen the rise and fall of empires. From the Phoenicians to the Greeks, from the Romans to the Crusaders, Byblos has carried the weight of centuries with quiet endurance. It was here that the Phoenicians shaped cedar wood into ships and sailed far beyond the horizon. It was here that one of the earliest alphabets was born, a gift to the world, carved into stone and carried across continents. The harbor still curves gently along the coast, where old fishing boats rock in the tide, and the scent of salt and history fills the air. Narrow stone alleys wind through the old Souq, where traders once called out in many tongues, and the past lingers in the texture of the walls. The ruins are layered, a Phoenician temple beside a Roman road, a Crusader castle overlooking a Canaanite wall. Each era added a chapter, and none erased the one before it. In the heart of Jeddah, along the coast of the Red Sea, there stands a neighborhood where the past is not forgotten, it is lived. This is Al-Balad, the old city, where coral stone walls and wooden balconies whisper stories of merchants, pilgrims, and generations gone by. Founded over 500 years ago, Al-Balad was once the beating heart of a port city that welcomed travelers from across the world. Goods from Africa, spices from India, and pilgrims bound for Mecca passed through its gates. Its streets were alive with trade, with language, with movement. The architecture here is unlike anywhere else. Homes rise in narrow rows, their facades crafted from coral harvested from the sea. Rows of intricate wooden windows, called rawasheen, stretch across the walls, filtering light and catching the breeze in the heat of day. Alleyways twist like threads through a fabric of history. Mosques, markets, and merchant houses stand shoulder to shoulder. Each stone worn smooth by time, each doorway shaped by hands long gone. High above the city of Haifa, on the northern slope of Mount Carmel, a garden unfolds like a sacred tapestry, perfectly symmetrical, richly green, and impossibly still. These are the Bahá'í Gardens, a sanctuary of peace and reflection overlooking the blue waters of the Mediterranean Sea. Terraced across the mountain in 19 levels, the gardens surround the golden domed shrine of the Bab, the resting place of the prophet herald of the Bahá'í faith. It is here that beauty is not decoration but devotion. Every flower, every path, every stone placed with intention. From the top terrace, the view stretches far across the city's rooftops, down the hillside, and beyond to the harbor where ships drift slowly by. But it is the calm within that draws the soul closer, the silence, the balance. The light falling on marble steps, on trimmed hedges, on blooming petals. The Bahá'í Gardens are not just a place of faith. They are a message of unity, of harmony, of the oneness of all people and all creation. No matter where you stand within them, there is always a sense of centeredness. In the wild heart of southern Jordan, where cliffs fall into canyons and winds whisper through endless valleys, lies a landscape untouched by time, the Dana Biosphere Reserve. It is not a single place, but a meeting of many worlds, desert and forest, stone and sky, silence and life. Spread across deep gorges and high ridgelines, Dana is Jordan's largest nature reserve. It stretches from dry lowlands that touch the Rift Valley up to cool mountain peaks that breathe with pine and juniper. This is where nature speaks in the language of contrast. Walking here, the land feels ancient. The rocks tell stories written in color, red, white, and golden layers shaped by sun and wind over millions of years. Below, hidden springs feed green patches in the arid landscape, where life gathers in quiet persistence. This reserve is home to more than just beauty. It protects over 800 species of plants and animals, some found nowhere else on Earth. The Nubian ibex leaps across cliffs. The Syrian seren sings from hidden branches. Wolves, foxes, and wild cats move like shadows through the night. In the heart of Damascus, where alleys echo with ancient footsteps and minarets rise into the desert sky, stands one of the oldest and most revered mosques in the world, the Umayyad Mosque. A place where faith, history, and architecture meet in sacred stillness. Built over a site that has seen worship for thousands of years, the Umayyad Mosque carries the weight of many eras. Once a temple to a Roman god, then a Christian church, and later transformed into a grand mosque by the Umayyad Caliphate in the early 8th century, it holds within its walls the legacy of civilizations. The courtyard opens wide under the sky, paved in marble, enclosed by graceful arcades. Light spills gently across the polished stone, reflecting the golden mosaics that still shimmer with scenes of paradise, trees, rivers, and gardens, untouched by time. The great prayer hall stretches long and quiet. Arches rise like waves above the faithful. Columns bear the marks of Byzantine hands. And within, the shrine believed to hold the head of John the Baptist, known as Prophet Yahya in Islam, rests beneath a delicate dome, honored by both Christians and Muslims alike. In the heart of Doha, where glass towers now rise against the desert sky, there is a place where the past still walks, slow, fragrant, and alive. This is Souq Waqif. A market whose name means the standing market, where time does not rush, but flows like the scent of spice through narrow streets. Once a trading post where Bedouins came to exchange goods, Souq Waqif has stood for over a century. Rebuilt with care and tradition, it still holds the rhythm of old Qatar, earthy, textured, and warm. Winding alleyways open into shaded courtyards and bustling corridors. Clay walls, wooden beams, and lanterns recreate the feel of an earlier time, while voices rise in Arabic, laughter echoes, and the air dances with color and scent. Here, the senses lead the way, spices pile in golden hills. Incense burns in clay pots. Hand-woven fabrics ripple in the breeze. Perfumes, coffee, leather, silver, each stall offers more than goods. Each offers a fragment of memory, of culture passed hand to hand. Falcons perch in shaded corners, their eyes sharp, calm and regal. In the capital of the United Arab Emirates, where modern ambition rises from desert shores, stands a palace built not for kings alone, but for the nation itself. This is Qasr Al Watan, the palace of the nation, a place where beauty meets meaning and architecture becomes a language of dignity. Set within the grand complex of Abu Dhabi's presidential palace, Qasr Al Watan is more than a seat of power. It is a cultural landmark, opening its doors not only to leaders, but to all who wish to understand the soul of a country shaped by heritage, vision, and unity. Its facade is gleaming white granite. Its domes rise like celestial crowns, reflecting light by day and glowing with golden warmth by night. But it is inside that the story deepens into halls of marble, carvings of intricate symmetry, and ceilings that stretch like the sky itself. The great hall stuns with silence. Every detail is purposeful. Every pattern echoes tradition. The palace is filled with calligraphy, books, and artifacts, not just of grandeur, but of thought. Here, governance is honored, not just through power, but through wisdom. On the edge of the Arabian desert, where palm trees sway in the dry wind and mud brick rises from the golden earth, stands a place where a nation was born. This is Diriyah, the cradle of the first Saudi state, a place of memory, of resilience, of beginnings. Nestled along the banks of Wadi Khalifa, Diriyah was once a thriving oasis town, built from the earth itself, its walls thick with clay, its towers watching over the valley below. In the 18th century, it became the capital of a rising power, a center of faith, unity, and leadership. At Tariq, the historic district of Diriyah, tells this story in silence and sun. Fortresses and palaces stand restored, their outlines sharp against the sky, their textures holding the fingerprints of history. This was the seat of rulers, the ground where the path of modern Saudi Arabia first took root. But beyond the stone and adobe, Diriyah is a symbol of roots that run deep, of identity that endures. It reflects the architecture of the Najd, the heartland of the peninsula, where form follows climate and beauty is found in simplicity and strength.